Hey everyone, today I wanted to talk about destructive patterns and how to use them to your advantage. So if you have that experience that comes up over and over again and it's causing a lot of suffering in your life, this video is for you because I will show you through a story of mine how to use these destructive patterns, these repetitive negative experiences to empower yourself to make better choices in your life. So I remember some time ago, in one day, I found myself attracted to two men. So in the morning, I remember I was sitting in a cafe and I saw this man in front of me and I was attracted to him. But what happened was that he was completely oblivious to me. He was with his cell phone, or was it, I think he was writing something, I don't know. But he was taken by the work that he was doing, right? Excuse me. And so he wasn't interested in me, not at all. And of course, the more disinterested he was, the more I was attracted, the more, or let me say, my focus went towards him. I wanted his attention, right? And then that happened, I kind of brushed it off. And in the afternoon, the same thing happened with another man. So I was in a train. He's sitting just in front of me. The other man was sitting like 2 tables away from me. But this one was like in front of me. And he comes, he doesn't even say hello, nothing. He sits down and he takes his computer and he starts working like I don't exist. And my attention is on him. And again, I feel, definitely not flattered, right? I feel that I'm completely, how can I say, completely, what would be the name? Ignored. I feel ignored. I feel that he's oblivious to me. And again, my whole attention is on him. And I remember that, this feeling of discomfort started happening inside of me, that discomfort. And it went on even when he was not around, because I had to change trains. So then afterwards I didn't even see him, right? Excuse me. And so as I went on, I remember that feeling of discomfort became bigger and bigger, and I realized that I was suffering. I was suffering because I was triggered by the two experiences that I had, and I was trying to forget about them. I was trying to ignore them and thinking that by ignoring them, they'll go away because, it's not important. I shouldn't be having those feelings. I shouldn't be, I felt almost slighted and by the fact that I was, interested in someone who was completely oblivious to me, that was the part that hurt, so my pride was hurt. But by resisting it, by separating myself, I was actually causing more harm to me. I was causing more suffering. And so I remember that, and I was like, no, we're not going to go down this path. I've gone down that path so many times, and I know how it ends. It goes worse and worse and worse, and then at some point it just becomes, your mind on a loop, these thoughts, and it just goes downhill from there, right? So I didn't want that. So I went back. I went back to the one that was hurt, the one that was slighted by being ignored. And so when that happened, most of the time we think that if we go back, we will find something horrible. We will find out something horrible. Or that we will find out that in this case, that I will find myself always being ignored by men or something like that, That's why we try to get out of there. That's why I wanted to ignore it, right? But that's not the case. So when I went back, when I felt into the situation, I felt in my body what was happening, how my body was reacting. I went back to those experiences in my mind's eye. And as I went there, I stayed with the part of me that just felt that it was horrible, that, they completely ignored me. I was hurt. And it's fine. And it's okay. I mean, who wouldn't be hurt, right? I mean, nobody likes being ignored, right? And, and I saw that this was a part of me that thought, that believed that I would be always ignored by men, that men would always be oblivious to me, right? That they would never even, glance at me or something like that. That's the part that was coming up. And it's a part from childhood that felt that, that father wouldn't, because I had an incredible father, but he was emotionally neglected me. He just couldn't be, he didn't know how to be emotionally with himself, so he couldn't be that way with me either, right? And so that wound was coming up. And so it was coming up, and one day, that's how strong it is. If you go towards those wounds willingly, and you start healing, you'll see that these patterns will come up one after the other. You'll be inundated by them. But that's actually usually a good sign, because that means that you're so close to healing. You're just there, you're in it. And so I remember in that moment, what hurt me was that they were just sitting there too engrossed in their work, right? And I don't know what they were engrossed with, but that's how it looked like, because one of them was on a computer, the other one was, I think, writing or something like that. It looked like work. At least for me, that's how it came up. And that's how it should have come up, because that's the thing that I always felt that my father had more important things like his work than me, right? And again, I'm not going against him, because that's usually how people think, but it's something that is prevalent everywhere. And people do it, fathers do it, because of unconsciousness, because of ignorance, and it's time to heal it. That's why I'm talking about it. And so, let me go back. I felt in that moment that wound. And then I understood why I was attracted to them. I wasn't attracted because that was, me falling in love with them or whatever. I was attracted. It was my wound that was taking me there, because that was the familiar. That was what I knew. I thought that was love. And so it was amazing in that moment when I realized that was the familiar. And that by finding myself in those situations, I was at a crossroads. I was in a moment where I was being asked what was my choice in that moment. Was I going to continue with that kind of, to find myself in that type of relationship, or did I want something else? And if I wanted something else, what is it? Because, we're very good. We have PhDs in what we don't want, but we have no clue what we do want, right? Most of us. Try it out. Write down everything. If it's a relationship you want, write down everything you want, and you will find out, unless you've done work on it, you'll find out that you will write down everything you don't want. And then you'll be like, oh, anyways. So going back to the story, I started seeing very clearly that what hurt me was, again, they sitting down, not connecting with other people, not even with me, but with other people. It was like they were in this glass ball, glass was surrounding them, and they were untouchable. I couldn't reach out. I couldn't go towards them. Right? And they weren't going towards anyone. They were just in their castle, doing their thing. And so in that moment, that's what I was asked, right? What is my choice? And I started going to the wanted, which was, for example, in a relationship, what I want is that person, if we are, for example, in a train or in a public space where there are people, I want a man that has the courage to be open to others. A man whose value is to connect with other people. A man who realizes how much loneliness there is in this world. And for him, it is important to open up, even if it's very vulnerable. It's very, you feel exposed when you do that. Even if it is that, he still has the courage to open up because he knows the hurt and the pain so many people are going through, and he wants to do something about that. So I realized that that's what I wanted, right? And it was so amazing because I could feel it, I could see it, and it's incredible when you find yourself with men like that. At least for me, when you see that man who has so much initiative and who wants to open up to others, even if there is that rejection that may come up, And I understand the rejection because I also try to be, I'm also open in public spaces, and you do feel vulnerable, and some people do not want to connect with you, so you do get rejected. But still, I want someone whose value is, in this case, who has this value, the value to connect with others and to show that the other is more important than their work, than their computer, than their cell phone, right? So, how about you? Look at the experiences that you've had, the experiences that come up over and over again. And look at them, and if they cause you harm, if they cause suffering in you, tell yourself they're coming up and they're showing you something. They're showing you the unwanted. And so use the unwanted and look specifically inside of it. Feel into your feeling. Look at the pain maybe that is coming up. Look at that. And use that as a way to be very clear about the experience you want to have. For example, the relationship that you want to have, or the job, or whatever it is. Use every little trigger to become clear about what you want. Because in that moment, when these experiences come up, they're asking you, what is your choice? And if you're making the same choice that leads you to that destructive behavior, they're always going to come up. Because you chose that in that moment, When it happens once, twice, etc., and you don't know, well, okay, let's not call it a choice. But then afterwards, once you've seen them so many times, you're still choosing at some point to go back to the same pattern. And so go into them, feel into it, feel into the pain. There is a part of you that may be wounded, that needs attention, that needs you to listen to it, integrate it, listen to it, feel into it, give it your time, your presence, and then based on the information you have, start imagining what is it that you really want. It will come very easily, you'll see, and it's fun. And you will start feeling empowered because now you are the one creating consciously what you want. You're creating consciously your life, right? So, if you have any questions or any comments, let me know down below. If you want to work on these type of patterns, archetypes, and you want to understand them better and you want to change them, And if you need help, I'm always there. You can always book a session with me. There's a link down below. And that's it. Ciao, ciao.